And we are live. It is Tuesday, February the 1st. Oh, Speed Week's coming up. Awesome. Special show tonight. We are going to touch on some news real quick. Oh, by the way, welcome to NasCanucks. I'm Ben. This is Doug. You may know us as the Crazy Canucks. We've got a lot of family members in the chat tonight, which is amazing. And of course, if any of you want to join us tonight, you know how to get a hold of us, and we'll send you the link and you can jump on in.
Don't say us. Say. I had to think of which way I was pointing because you're the one that's in control.
That I am.
Very, yeah.
That I am. So yes. Before we get to the news, I do want to give a shout out to everybody that we have in the chat. We got 13 people watching, Doug.
It's like a record, isn't it?
That's a record for this channel. We have Dupree Fishing. Yes. Lovely Marissa. Reba. Great to see Reba in here. Terry's 3G.
You just totally messed up. Everybody's like, I don't see a Reba on the thing, but yeah.
No. Half the people that are in here know who Reba is, and that'd be that guy. Wait,
we could call him Anne Murray.
Could.
Yep.
We could. John Deerups, Jeremy Smith. Let's see, Charles 75N. So we got a bunch of regulars. There's Amy. We got Amy in here. Let's see. Scrolling back, and then we got the pre-gamer. Some guy named Ben Coombs. Never heard of him. Nope. Awesome. House of Twang. Great to see House of Twang here. Marcus, a.k.a. Reba. Exactly. Guitar Man 45. So yes, Doug, news.
Just we got a few things because we've had some. Finally, thank you NASCAR for breaking something on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday. Finally,
thank you. For those of us that have a podcast on Tuesdays, it's nice if the news came out on Tuesday.
And just
all right, what do you got?
Don't circle the black helicopters and take us out again.
Again, yeah. All right,
what
do you got?
Tonight is the night where we're going to talk nice about that team.
Yep. Okay. Yep. We will.
So anyway, to start off the whole, because I always have trouble with this.
Rick Ware Racing.
Ware Racing. We'll be doing the number. David Reagan coming back to drive the 15. They announced his sponsorship by some siding company.
Aren't they all?
Car will be destroyed within the first 3 laps. Who cares?
It doesn't matter.
Trackside Racing.
Yes, not the show.
I just did a U. It's Track House. Anyway, so Justin Marks has partnered up with Dana White with the UFC to do a marketing kind of partnership with them.
Synergy, they call that. Marketing synergy, Doug.
I think that's
cross promotion, also known as, or it's a sponsor. Why not?
Yep, that and he's been spotted. A former driver's been spotted at the RCR shop. To possibly drive the new number 44 NY Racing.
That will not be Ryan Newman.
No. As we said before, not shy of any kind of video stuff, will be Greg Biffle.
There we are.
Yes.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Just throw that one in there.
No, we're not talking fellow YouTuber, folks.
No. Little closed circuit stuff. Martinsville, because I know some of the people here might be heading to Martinsville. You'll be having a shorter race this year for the spring.
Yep.
Going to 400 laps from the 500.
Now a 400 lapper. Yep. Which, I get it. Just to mix it up. Why not?
Well, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. And then to tie into the koozie that I found, the Home Depot. This is an old one from my first race in 2006. The Tony Stewart.
What the hell was that? Oh, you know what that? Did you hear that?
I heard it, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, that. Somebody spoke up, dude.
Did the Kyle Busch car just crash back there?
I've been keeping this for special occasions.
Okay.
This is the last of the Kool-Aid I ever got from Mr. Mike. And apparently he went, you don't need to talk about him.
Okay.
You don't need to. Speaking of which, and for those who don't know, I haven't had a drink in almost 3 months now, Doug, I think. What's up, Mayhem? But tonight,
I think you're kind of full of shit.
No, actually, I have not had a drink in over 2 months. Thank you very much. I've imbibed in a lot of other stuff, but hey, it's legal now, so why not? Yeah. But in honor of Mr. Mike, cheers, good sir.
I had like 4 jars of it down here.
Ooh. Oh man, yeah, I haven't had that feeling in a long time.
I'll break out the courage for the local stuff here a little later on. So to go along with that koozie, rumors that the trio for the Clash and the Daytona 500 could be staying.
Oh,
so smoke for the full season
in the booth
at Fox in the booth.
Yes,
which would be nice.
Marcus's last drink was November. Well, I just broke that streak, but I figured y'all won't tell, for one, and two, it's honor of Mr. Mike, and it's the good stuff.
So then the last bit of Cup news is announced today, new team.
Yes.
The money team.
Yes.
Mr. Floyd Mayweather. They are going to be doing
the team that's literally been in the works for something like 13 years.
Something like that, yeah. So they'll be driving the number 50, Kaz Gralla to drive Tony Yuri Jr. to crew chief that car.
Really?
Yes. So he makes the return. So
interesting.
Yeah. And then only Xfinity news that's not like some sort of sponsor or something else related is that the car count. One last Cup thing for the 500. It's been announced that they are now going to be allowed to lock bumpers.
Yes. So what's old is new again. Tandem.
Yes.
Tandem.
Only for
dance partner.
Only for the Cup. Xfinity and trucks, you guys still got to separate.
Yeah. Well, they're new-ish.
So Xfinity car count going from 36 to 38.
Oh, excuse me.
Cars.
That burned.
Yeah. So they're adding 2 cars to the Xfinity lineup. And then to tie in, because I know that Mike did have I want to say a relationship at some point with this guy. Marcus Smith is saying hopeful that the truck series I just had the COVID brain.
Apparently, because I'm thinking I had a brief experience with Marcus Smith too when I grabbed his love handle.
I don't think Mike got that close.
Close, and there's photographic evidence.
That track that everyone's talking about that wants to bring back in North Carolina. That's it. I think
Doug spent a little too much time out in the cold there, folks.
I was thinking that had like memories of not remembering stuff from like.
I think you've been touching the good stuff here.
There was that one night that thankfully no one's got video of me running around with a flag as a cape.
Good times. Yeah. Good times. There's a few people in the chat remember that.
Yep. Oh, probably, yes.
Yes. So on to the reason that tonight's show is tonight's show. I'll basically say what I said last night on my other podcast. So I was wrapping up a podcast on Sunday night, and Doug texted me. It was really weird. I was like, I got off the air with actually Charles 75N. He was my guest on Sunday night, and Doug texted me. He's like, doesn't sound good for Mike. And I'm like, what? And then a few minutes later, basically confirmed what we all now know. As most of you call him, Mr. Mike. I was lucky enough he let me call him Brother Mike, because I think he got a kick out of me for some reason. He liked to keep me around. I was like a pet or something. The token long-haired hippie. He's like, yeah, that's him. Whatever. Yeah. We know. And so, Mr. Mike passed away of a heart attack on Sunday night. He will be loved, still loved, missed, definitely. King of the infield, hands down, or the king of Redneck Hill, although we're not allowed to call it that anymore. That's not the photo I wanted. I forgot to bring up the photo I want. So, do you want to say a couple of words, Doug, while I bring up the photo that I wanted to bring up?
Well, no, it's I think we all became instant friends because I think it was most of the other whole crew, their first time down there in 2011.
Yep.
2011, yeah. When the forgetfulness, I guess, of myself, kind of did that whole thing because I did forget a hammer. And that's what started this whole thing.
Packed the tent, didn't bring a hammer.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Which that was also the whole year of the tornado down there, but
yeah, which we got into Charlotte Thursday afternoon, I think it was.
Yes.
By the time we did all the dilly-dallying and stuff. Yeah. So we got there, and yeah, we actually met Marshall first because he was there setting up his trailer.
Yeah.
And we looked over and we thought, well, he seems like a normal gentleman.
And he's had a hammer.
He had a hammer. We asked if we could borrow a hammer. He said yes, and at times he regrets lending us that hammer. Which then shortly thereafter, this gentleman pulled up, holding court from the driver's seat of his pickup, as Mike likes to do on Thursdays, Doug, of race weekend. And it was instant friendship, instant family. Instant family. What can I say? So
I know, and we've talked about it. There's so many stories that we have. I know there's so many stories that everyone else has as well too. Because it's just.
I just want to hit a couple of things in the chat here real quick too.
Sure,
yes, definitely, Marissa. Sunday night was devastating to us all. Amy said, we're all family and friends because of Mr. Mike. Exactly. He brought us together and forever be grateful for sure. Marcus, I cannot thank you enough for that photo. It's my profile picture on Facebook of me and Mike in the golf cart. I remember, and that was the last year I made it down, and I said to Mike, I said, do you have a minute? He's like, what's up? Can you just sit and watch the race for 1 minute with me? I've been coming down here for years. I've never had a chance. You never get to see the race. Can we just take a minute to watch a couple laps just so bucket list I got to watch a Coke 600 with Mike Kleban? And, gave me that smirk and smile, and which told me, you're an idiot, but let's do it. And we did. Justin. Tinkerbell.
Oh, yeah. It's I think there's so many stories of just, even for us just hanging out in the man cave.
Yeah.
That almost became the reason why we always went down so early.
Mm-hmm.
Was that we got
being upwards of a 20-hour drive each way, we figured we want to spend as much time there as possible. And then the problem was we thought you had to leave the track after the All-Star race for like that day and a half, 2.5 days. And then Mike just said, just bring your stuff over and camp in my yard if you have to. And then we found out you could actually stay anyways. But that's the way Mike was. He's like, no, you aren't driving back to Canada. You're just coming over to my house. And it was great because, like, say, when we had like Trent and Sam and Marshall and Grant would come in for the All-Star race, that those who live within a couple hours basically would make it in for the All-Star race, and then they'd all leave Sunday. And then by Sunday evening, usually every evening, we would get to go over and hang out at Mike's, and it wasn't, because we're all lucky enough to go over an hour or two every year for a trip, but we got to spend entire evenings over there. And sometimes it was just Doug and me. Like the year that Karma and Grayson were with us, half the time they're like, well, we're just going to hang out at the trailer, watch some videos, whatever. Yeah. You guys go have fun. And we did. And we would sit around that table solving all the world's problems.
Well, and it's like you said that I at least got to drink from the lower half of the fridge.
Yeah.
You were never allowed to. You always had to take from the freezer.
And that was from the first time you ever showed up.
Maybe it's just because you look so thin and you look sickly that you had to have the medicine.
Maybe. Yeah. Or Mike likes to fuck with hippies. Could be that too.
Could be that too, yeah.
That's all I said. I was the token hippie. And that's fine. And that was the funny part, because we were so different from an outsider view, but we had the commonality in NASCAR, and then we would just sit and it was like, we'd pick each other's brains on a variety of topics, and we would never offend each other, and we could agree to disagree. And that's what I loved about Mike. But my God, what a heart of gold. Just, we would see it the day to day, like, oh, we're going to go to the Hall of Fame and they got a shuttle bus that charges $5 so we don't have to pay for parking. And Mike's like, no, I'll drive you and then I'll pick you up.
And then that's another great story where he then picked us up and he said, oh, okay, well, we're going for a drive.
Oh, yeah, because first he said, didn't you need? And I went, yep. And he's like, and he looked back at you and he smirked at me and went, yeah, I'm like, all right, let's do this. Yeah.
Yep. So I think we did have to close our eyes at one point in the drive for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But we couldn't see which turns he was actually making.
Yeah.
And then it was funny because we then got to that general store, and we've said this story many times, but we got to the general store and Mike was like, okay, so you guys have to go in now, and you walk to the back of the store, and there'll be a couple old boys sitting in lawn chairs in the back, right? And you have to go up to them.
One of us chickened out to go in, by the way.
Well, I'm going to get to that. He said you have to go back there, those couple old boys, and you have to ask if there's any Kool-Aid today, right? And we were pretty deep in the woods in this old general store. I was like, no. Ben can, because I don't know what's going to happen back in the back of the store because they're going to have to go downstairs. Go ahead, Ben. You kind of look the part. So
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Because I thought, Doug, there's that slight chance he might be a cop. Me? There's no doubt.
I was just thinking there might be a slight chance we may not walk out of the store.
Yeah. But
that's just what I was thinking.
Yes, Marcus.
Yes, Marcus, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I believe you've been out there yourself, possibly. Yes. Red, I believe. I don't think that was his real name, so I don't mind saying just the color red. So I went, I was like, screw it, I'll go in there. I went in, and it did not go that well, we'll say. There was a communication, the gentleman was polite, and I was polite because I know to be polite, and I'm the fish out of water here in this situation, and I was getting kind of one of those looking at me like, as most people do. Just, what? I don't know you. And then Mike came in smiling, and he went, is he with you? And he went, yeah. And he was all right. And then we bought him out.
I think so, yeah.
Because that was the year we had the running gag on somebody who was like, you got that gallon for me, right? We're like, no, it's gone. We drank it. And we were posting photos from the man cave every night on social media with a jug that was getting lower and lower.
Yeah, and we talk about him having, everyone's friend. I don't think there was anything that could happen at that track that Mike couldn't make happen.
That's true.
Because I think one of our last times
he knew everybody.
Well, yeah, and I think it was one. And Marcus, Marissa, well, you guys got to help me out here because, like I said, COVID hit here. There was all of a sudden there was talk one morning that there's going to be a wedding. Then I think it turned into a double wedding.
Oh,
and we're trying to figure out how it was going to happen. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, we have to be in Victory Lane in 20 minutes. We've all got to
remember that.
So he had like a pastor, preacher, whatever. It was all set up, and here we go.
Yep.
It was like, oh,
I remember that well. I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to a wedding. All right.
Yeah.
Put the going to town shirt on then. I think it had a collar and sleeves. And that those folks, and I say those folks, and I mean by which started out as literally Marshall, Mike, Trent, Larry.
Okay, yeah, Amy, it was Tiff and Bull that.
Larry, when he was still with us, rest in peace, Larry. And that first year, I remember saying to you, Doug, on our way down the second year, you said, what do you want to do this year that we didn't do last year? I said, I want to talk to that skinny guy because he would just stand around the periphery in 2011. I don't know who he is. He just this dude. He weighs about 53 pounds, 54 if it's raining, and he just stands there and he doesn't say anything. And you said, well, I don't know who that guy is. And then we got down and said, there's the guy. And I went over and he didn't talk like the others talked, Doug. And I found out he was Sam Vaca. And another heart of gold gentleman, Sam. And I found out that Sam was kind of involved with this crew, and they brought in all these military people and stuff, and they were kind of the planning committee because they were local within 2 hours. And Grant as well. Grant, are you watching? And we were lucky, again, because we stayed for 2 weeks. We were sitting there during those planning sessions with Marshall figuring out the menu. So if you didn't like the menu in 2016 and 2017 over the 600 weekend, I was allowed to have a little input because
that was him.
Yeah, do you think you could make this again? Because that was awesome last year. And Marshall would give me a smirk. He's like, yeah, we can do that. I'm like, all right. And then, that was also then Marshall had to leave the last year, and I got roped into basically taking over Marshall's job as second cook quite a bit. And I didn't mind at all. This was me and Trent getting lit, man in the grill. It's all good.
I'm seeing Amy's comment there, and I have to say,
exactly.
Yes, been 8 of the 10 years because of COVID stuff and everything, and now knowing some of those people, I don't think normal can be used. I'm just saying that bottom of my heart. I'm not sure.
Yeah, what's my definition of normal? So I just remember, again, I think it was Mike that said, if you all got a minute, sit down, talk to a veteran if you don't mind, because some of these people have only been back for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And it was just shoot the breeze. And at that time, I was still working for the military here as a civilian contractor. So I have a lot of friends that are in the military. My grandfather served as well. And we've had several uncles that served on our side of the family. And so it's like, yeah, of course. And then we get to meet these amazing people.
I'm seeing Marissa's comment about Grant. I think he's scared. I think he's having flashbacks of the shower.
I don't think Grant realizes he's in half the thumbnails for this podcast because he's standing next to you in the photo, but you can't quite see him. And I usually block him out with the title. We are very pleased to do this, guys. Jennifer and Corey. We got Bank Surf in the chat. I can only imagine what you folks are going through. Our hearts go out to you. I was relaying through Doug a lot because I didn't want to inundate anybody, but just going through Facebook and just loving the comments, concerns, questions. And, I can't wait to get back down at some point. And, they better rename, we should start a petition to rename Redneck Hill Mike Kleban Hill.
Well, and I said,
Mike would hate that. He would hate any form of recognition, but it's like getting a hug from a dude. When I wanted to hug Mike let me give him a hug. Goodbye. It was only at the end of each trip each year. He's like, fine. And then he'd call me gay or fruitcake or something after a second. And that's fine.
But no, with Corey there and Jennifer and then Bank Surf is, I know last time I was down there, 2019, when I flew down.
Right.
Alone. Yes. Yeah. So the Sunday, the Monday morning, I was like, you know what? My plane doesn't leave till like 6 o'clock. Don't worry about it. Take me from the track there. I'll just hang out at the airport. I got nothing else. I'm fine to do that. And he was like, nope, you're coming. And he said, you're coming on a drive with me because that's Mike's drive. And he gave me the honor of being with him while he was doing a little tour of some of the military cemeteries on Memorial Day. And I know that he had another family thing to go to, but then he took time out to take me to the airport before he went to the family barbecue. And it was just, that's the type of guy that Mike was, that he would just, it didn't matter what was going on. If friend or whatever needed something, he was just dropping it and doing it. and that's
Yep.
look at that. And that was the last time I did see him down there. So it's that still does mean a lot.
Yeah, I'm lucky in that the last time I saw Mike was Monday morning rollout. The last year we were down there, and we were some of the last to leave because we made sure we were helping everybody pack up the canopy and all that. So you guys know, because I know we have a lot of the core watching at the core. You guys know what I mean, like people helping out and this and that, and like say, I told him I loved him, and I hugged him.
But yeah, and with how he can be.
Grumpy and grumpy. Yeah,
he can be. Grumpy. So it's like, I know Marcus does tell this story, right? And we talked a bit about it last night in your other show. There was the time that you, because as most people know on here, I always get called into what used to be the Jeep, and I have to say, wrong cousin. I'll get the other guy.
Yeah, wrong cousin.
So as Glenn usually, as Ben usually does, everyone may know that he does play the glass saxophone a bit too much.
Yeah. So since Doug got the day wrong last time, I'm going to preface. So it was actually, you know what? It was Friday morning. It was Friday. I don't think it was Thursday morning. It might have been Friday morning, but it was early in the weekend because there was next to nobody there. As far as there might have been, I don't know, 30 of us had arrived, we'll say. And breakfast finished. We had just finished cleaning up. Oh, excuse me. T-Bone and I, well, yeah, apparently breakfast did finish up. T-Bone and I may have been partaking in something, we'll say, just to have it. And there was like and Sam and Monica went off for a coffee, and Marshall was off doing something. Mike was probably off, repaving the track. I don't know, who knows with Mike. And next thing you know, these dudes show up with the starch white shirt and the starch black pants, and they looked important. And T-Bone just booked her. And I'm like, thanks. And they're like, hey, who's in charge here? And I looked around, and literally there was like myself. Doug was over at his trailer, and I guess me. What's up? And I'm like, well, on race day, we're going to have a VIP swing by, but you can't really tell anybody because it's a big deal. And I'm like, all right. He said, just tell the people that need to be told. Like, tell Mike. Don't tell anybody else. All right. I'm like, all right. They leave. I'm like, I should tell Monica this because she's my spirit guide during race weekend. She tells me when to hydrate. And I'm like, all right, tell Monica, and Monica will tell Mike because I'll forget by the time I see Mike.
Then you sat down.
Oh, look, a bird. And that thought was gone. Gone until, I don't know. I think it was the end of stage 1, maybe the end of stage 2. I think it was during a stage break type end of stage 1. I want to say that all of a sudden, we're hanging out next to the canopy, Doug's trailer there, which is our backdrop, and I got the radio on. I got a cold snack in one hand, a mason jar in the other, and I'm just enjoying the race. And all of a sudden, a limo tent SUV shows up. And people with the earpieces and suits. And I thought, oh, shit, Trump showed up. That was my first thought. Because I was not sober. And, who knows, right? And then all of a sudden, it dawned on me. And Doug goes, what's up? And I went, oh, hold these. And I ran over to Mike. And I went, Mike. And Mike was fixing up a plate for either the ice people or a security guard who hadn't eaten, but you know how Mike was, fixing a plate for somebody. And I said, Mike, sorry to interrupt. You need to put that down because there's a very important person over here that wants to meet you. And he said, they can fucking wait. I'm like, no, not really, because by that point, Doug let it spill. Amy was running. Marissa was running.
Sure. Bring that up again. The 30-week pregnant woman beat me in a foot race back to the campsite. Yeah, that's it.
Well, yeah, you're all torso. I'll give you that much. And and all of a sudden I look over and I see this dude with his hat askew, and I'm like, he's in shape. Is he a wrestler? Maybe because he looks kind of familiar, but he's not as tall as me. That's for sure. And all of a sudden I'm like,
and then all the women were going crazy.
Yeah, all of a sudden, and I'm kind of in the periphery, we'll call it, enough that apparently there's photos of me in the press. Not looking good at all. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So then, as Marcus tells it, Mike does a little photo op with the guy, and the guy gives the 12-pack of Coors Light to Mike for the guys on the campsite. Which, if you were to look the Monday morning, there was still 12 Coors Light cans in the cooler. So the guy does his thing, leaves, and as Marcus says, that Mike looks at him and is like, "Who the fuck was that guy?" And that was Channing Tatum. Mike, he's a pretty important guy. But yeah,
there we go. I just want to have that up on the screen for a bit for those that are tuning in intermittently and such. If you are in the area and you know where Mr. Mike's place was, go and please raise one on our behalf. We would both love to be there. Believe me, I'd give anything to be there. So, yes. Shout out to Monica and Sam, Mr. Sam, Miss Monica. Monica was a game changer for that situation. She added a lot of organization, Doug. She really helped out Mike behind the scenes, I will say. And she also keeps Sam in line, which somebody I didn't, because he didn't say anything for the first year. Nobody knew about him till I'm like, you. And remember, for years, because that man, Coke 600, Sam 600, Sam drove 600 miles every race weekend, on that golf cart, and still does. And I'd say, Sam, you and me, we're going to have a cold snack at some point. He goes, I got to drive. I'm like, all right. And then we get to the point where I'm like, are you done for the night? Yep. He's like, I gave Marshall the keys. I'm like, all right, sweet. We're drinking a beer.
Yeah. Which is another thing, that golf cart, because no one's allowed to have golf carts on the infield except for the vendors and teams or whatever, but one other person could.
Yep. And then there was the time it broke down, and then I had the wise idea of repairing it. Got it working. Don't know how.
Yeah.
I was not sober for that, and I had no tools. And because it wouldn't go in reverse. That's right.
Yep. Yeah.
We got her J-rigged enough.
Which I think that's
like Sam, ease it in reverse.
I think I still have the scuff mark on my tire cover on the back of the camper. That is a war wound that will stick with every camper I have.
Rubbing bracing.
Yeah. So, and like Ben said, if anyone wants to message Ben or they want to come in and talk, say anything, just feel free. So it's not just listening to us just talk, but
and there's no preconceived. Like, I'm just thinking random things. Nice. I like that. Yeah, Marshall, fire up. Marshall's a hell of a cook. Don't.
Well, and I'd say the prankster in him as well, because I still remember we had a conversation. We were all having a conversation. Marcus was there, Mike was there. I forget who else. It was on the Friday night of the last year that I was there when I flew down, and we were having a conversation about how people can fall asleep mid conversation.
Oh yeah,
and I did.
I was gonna say I know you have.
And I was awoken by Mike. All I heard was Mike saying, "Chain him up to the golf cart," and this was at like 3:00 in the morning. So I woke up pretty quick because it was Marcus trying to chain me up to the golf cart for the night, and that wouldn't have been fun.
Well, we don't need you wandering off, Yep.
But yeah.
So true. And there was for years that Doug wouldn't touch the good stuff, which screw it, I'm taking a second sip.
I haven't opened this thing up. I don't know if people thought I was trying to poop before, but I was like, oh hey, I just got it.
The last year we were down there together, Doug finally started Sam, we did go through that blueberry at Mike's. It was either blueberry or apple.
No, because I blame Kathy for this year, Mike's niece. There was the one year with the pina colada that just didn't end well either.
Oh yeah, that was the year before that. Yeah, actually, that was the
no,
previous.
the first year. There was a year well beyond that my face went numb for about 12 hours.
Yeah, but you never would drink it with me. You took one
because my
birthday one year.
Because my face went numb the first time for 12 hours. I ain't touching that again. But
it's good for you.
But yeah.
It's always Kathy's fault. Yeah, I know. And that was the thing. I came sauntering over, and Doug's got this grin on his face, much like Kleban's on occasion, like he's been up to no good. And I see what looked like a jar of milk. And I'm like, what the hell are you drinking? And all of a sudden, I include him real quick. He's like, apparently I can drink it if it's flavored. And that's when Doug discovered pina colada moonshine and his love thereof. And yeah, I remember your wife was not impressed with that situation. No. It's bad enough that I'm drinking the crap for 2 weeks straight. And then all of a sudden, oh, there goes the good cousin.
Well, of course.
There was a good cousin. There was a bad cousin and a worse cousin, maybe, by the end of each one.
Well, yeah. And Truex winning that year didn't help that situation either at all.
Dominating too.
That ride home the next day sucked. Big time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's amazing though. Those experiences, like I say, I'm just thinking like the setup and the tear down and, and everybody coming in, it was like a family reunion every year, like who's showing up first of all this year and just sitting like I was glued to that mess tent for lack of a better term, like I was always hanging out there. I was always because that was kind of where everybody was coming in to check in on Thursday and Friday. And I always said to Doug, like, the week leading up, do whatever we need, whatever we're going to do away from the track, better be done before Thursday. Because once Thursday morning hits, I don't leave the speedway. And I might go over to Gypsies once, but usually I don't leave the speedway after because I just want to see everybody coming in because I want to, hey, and hugs and hellos and.
So I got to say what Amy said. How we have to appreciate that he was not in Facebook jail this week, so they could tag him in because we know Mike wasn't really an opinionated guy either. We all know that.
Yeah. Did he end up burning the life-size cutout of Kyle Busch? That I don't know.
No, and you know what? It was funny because I have my rotation of shirts that I wear for the show.
Yeah.
And one of the next ones up was the Kyle Busch shirt. I was like, I can't do that.
Oh, speaking of instigators, look who showed up in the chat.
Oh. We didn't say anything bad, Kathy. Not at all. Never said anything bad. No.
Nope. Not at all.
Which is why I also just right here. I was like, I do not have any Jeff Gordon stuff at all, and it's like, oh, there's like a card that came up.
I don't have anything Jeff Gordon either. I say that, and I don't know where they are. Was one of the first years we went down. Because remember, we started leaving the day earlier so we could get down there. As soon as the track opened Wednesday morning, we get there. So Wednesday night became our night to hang out over at Mike's before we started going for 2 weeks. For that first few years there. And that was awesome. I think it was the second or third, I think it might have been the third year we were down there. Apparently, Mike was finally getting around to organizing the man cave and cataloging a bit. And we got to talk about hero cards. And he's like, filing cabinet's full of hero cards. If there's any doubles, you're more than welcome. And I'm like, after about, I don't know, 30 seconds, I was like, no, I can't, Mike. And he's just like, really? You haven't even seen the attic. And he gave me a stack of hero cards dating back to like Fred Lorenzen postcards and Mario Andretti Daytona. And I couldn't believe it. But he's like, yeah, they're not worth anything. They got thumbtack holes through them and the corners around. I'm like, I don't care. Because as a guy from small town Ontario, Canada, you just never would see this stuff. And it's just amazing. I couldn't never think of enough. And then he would always ask, because we'd always go to the Gypsies there, merch people and buying up. I'm looking for old stuff. And old, hey, what'd you get? What'd you get? I'm like, oh, I got one of these. He's like, oh yeah, what'd you pay for it? And they tell me, oh, that's not a bad deal, and this and that. It's like, what'd you? Oh, I got a Harry Gantner. Oh, cool. Or that Charlotte Motor Speedway ashtray that I can't find. He was like, do you want to get rid of that? And I was like, really, Mike? He's like, he was like, he's like, where am I going to put it? He goes, it's cool though. I was like, I know. I wish I knew where that was. Because I have a Winston Cup Series ashtray in the shape of Charlotte Motor Speedway.
I'll say, Justin, you just sent me a picture. Probably one of the last years there. I don't know if you can see it.
Nice. Here, I'm going to present you.
Yeah. Wait, on Facebook. Yeah, just that smile. It was just fun, and I've even got. Not say put me again, but I did put it in my my Facebook post. Was just that, you know, like he did, especially with those kids around. He always, you know, always just wanted to do stuff with them. And
do you remember how adamant he needed a photo of Grayson to add into the table? I remember.
But there's one here, and I did put it on Facebook, and Grayson was pretty proud of it because he was like 5 at the time. But he Mike did give him the rookie stripe.
Yeah.
It was actually Marshall and Mike, but it's got Mike. They had to wrap it around him like 8 times, but still, you know, he was always, you know, and even there was even another story where Mike and I were just out for a drive around the track, and there was a couple guys who were with. I'm not sure which military branch they were with, but they were looking for their friends and they couldn't find them. And Mike was like, "Well, where are you supposed to meet them?" They're like, "Well, we don't know." And Mike's like, "Well, hop in with us." And he looked at me. He's like, "You got your wristband on?" I was like, "Well, yeah." He goes, "You got your pass?" He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay." He give them his pass. I give them my pit pass, and he's like, "You guys are coming in with us." And
he just got reported in. He can't sign in, Doug, but Marshall is watching.
Okay.
Thinking of you, Marshall. My God, what you could be going through as well. Love you, man.
But yeah, you know, and he's just like he didn't care who they were.
Yep.
It's like you guys are hopping in, and you guys are coming in, and they just couldn't believe, just, you know. Then Mike brought them back, gave them their own pit pass, and they were just having a blast. And it's like,
how many times, especially Saturday, Sunday, you know, how many military members we saw in uniform that'd be walking around, and because of the size, especially before they rearranged everything, you know, when we were at the old campsite area, because it was such a big area, people would cut through on occasion, and somebody would just be cutting through, and he'd be like, "Hey, have you eaten? Get a plate," you know, stuff like that. You know, as Amy said, he's always fixing a plate. And I was like, you know, was Mike? I think he might be one of the few people I've ever met in my life that seriously did have that quote unquote mischievous twinkle in his eye. Like he said, that smile, but he had, you know, like, yeah, to look, he give you that sideways look, like, I'm going to start pulling this guy's leg, you know, and you just follow in. It's like, all right, you know, and that's why I loved, you know, like, he and I really bonded that year that we bought all up the moonshine, and Rob didn't get any.
No,
Rob could
be watching on a replay, because I know he said he was having a hard time, which I know he was really close to Mike.
Sure.
But yeah, so if Mike, Rob,
that's what I told. Yeah, I was like, thanks for including me, Mike, and let's do. He goes, you want to play a trick on Rob? I'm like, I don't really know him, but sure, if you got my back, you know, because again, I'm the hippie, and y'all, like, you know how to fight and stuff, and, you know, not that there was ever that, but I don't know. I didn't know him. I'm just welcomed in, and all right, let's do it. You know, what do I got to do? I'll just post pictures of you drinking moonshine. That I can do. I'm good at doing that.
Yeah, and I did. I kind of have it here somewhere where he actually, like, talking about that prank, he had no clue what he was doing, but he just did it anyway. Let's see if I can find that picture here. It's just like I've had so many, looking back, like, just so many pictures that it was fun to do, just sitting over in the man cave.
Yep.
So yeah, that.
Exactly. Everybody was welcome no matter what. That's so true. That is so true. I was just saying, like organizing, like as a group, we organized like the trip over to the dirt track and riding that, getting a bus to take us all over to the dirt.
Yeah.
Hey, there's my sister Amanda in the chat. We were all riding in the bus together, just crammed in and grab a seat and let's go. And it was fun.
Yeah.
And going for those rides, whether it be a golf cart or pickup truck with Mike. Oh my God. Yeah, it was just because he had been there since the place was built. Like, I'm a real history buff. And he's, like what are now maintenance sheds for the Speedway. He's like, oh yeah, that's Quickie's old shop. And that's Bobby Allison's old shop. I'm like, what? Really? Wow. He's like, yeah. Well, it's like, what? It's an old building. It's an old garage. I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the one thing I'm going to miss is going over to the shop just to talk, because we'd have those because it was Hall of Fame Hall of Fame voting time, so we'd have our picks,
yep,
right, and like that, like Lewis just said, that the 2019 trip to the over to Dennis, the Mustang guy, the Ford guy,
yeah, the place we went over to.
Yeah, the place that we had to smuggle Ford parts back for us.
I smuggled the inside of a guitar.
Yeah,
it worked.
He set that up. We'd set up stuff with Hendrick Motors to go and see Rick's private vehicles, and it was just whatever he could do for anyone, he would do it.
Yeah, I just think with time he gave you directions. I forget what you want to get, but he's like, go down past Daryl's old shop and hang a right. You're like, I don't know where Daryl's old shop is. But I get it. I get it.
Oh,
that's 100. Yeah, exactly. I fully agree. At that track, who didn't like just pull up a chair next to Mike and just listen to him hold court? And we got to hear so many stories. Again, we keep going back to that man cave. Carpenter's Ford parts. Thanks, Grant.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Grant. The bathhouse just isn't the same without us taunting Grant for his late night shower.
And the thing was, and sure, this is a Grant story, but who cares? What we're talking about here was one late night, two drunken Canadian guys had the idea that Grant went over to the shower. So we're going to go over there and we're just going to get him because we could hear his shower going.
Well, yeah, because we took a leak and we knew Grant had walked by a couple minutes earlier to take it, because Grant always has to take a shower before going to bed each night. Yeah. Everybody knows. And we're taking a leak, and also we can hear that single shower going and then stop.
Yeah, but apparently we found out later on he was already done, and he was actually like, what the hell are you guys doing? Because we were just like, Grant. And we thought we were all like funny, and he was like, what the hell are you doing?
But then, what was it, 3 years? Like 3 years ago, if we saw him with that towel, Grant, shut up, guy. He does comment, at least I showered. That's true. Yeah. At least you did. I always found the best time to grab a shower on race weekend was when there was a big wreck in the Xfinity race. I was like, now's the perfect time to take a shower because it's going to be 20 minutes to clean that up.
Well, see, and the thing is with the new camper they had done the last couple of years, I got to have my own private one in the camper. Yeah. So hey,
he wouldn't let me use it though. He's like, too much hair.
No. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like Lewis said, like late night showers, you get a hot one, but yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
You just never know.
I'm keeping an eye on the YouTube chat as well as we have our own side chat going on.
Yep.
And our stickers are still on the stall walls. Yes.
Yeah, but it's like it's fun, and there's even the one time we had met. I think it was the All-Star race. We had met a couple other people from Toronto that were just camped up from us.
Oh yeah, with the We in the North flag.
Yeah, like. Mike and Marcel both were like, just let them come down and come up on the camper. Let them kind of see from there, and it's just
because I remember that because they had moved in and I was walking because we didn't have porta potty there, so I was off for a walk, and all of a sudden, at that time, it was like the first year the Raptors were like really good, and the We the North thing had started, and it was so common around Canada at the time that it was just in your peripheral vision all the time, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, this, and then I turn and I'm like, hello, fellow Canadians, and then because we were about to leave, I'm like, let me go take a leak and then we'll go, and then I never came back, and you came looking for me, and I'm like, hey, you're like, hey, what do you do? I'm like, pint? You're like, well, I guess we're not leaving, I guess. Okay, sure.
Nice. I was just happy that we weren't as outnumbered as we had been. We went from 2 to 6. Yeah. There was 4 of them there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the weird part. If you want weird, folks, stay in the infield through the 2 weekends. There was the one year there was 4 of us in that half of the infield.
Yeah, from Monday
and a
to
dog.
Wednesday.
And a dog.
And
4 of us
yeah.
and a dog.
Yep. So Sam and Monica just sent me messages saying, Sam's another guy. You gotta stay well, buddy, because
yes,
I need someone to drive me around in May.
That's the only way I make it to the souvenir stands on the weekend. Because Doug's like, oh, let's go to the souvenir stands. And then I was like, no, I don't want to. And then Sam's like, I'll drive you around. I'm like, all right, that'll do. And then literally he'd pull up to each trailer. You want to get off here? No. He'd pull ahead. You want to go here? No. People looking like, see some VIP guy? No, just a drunk Canadian with a friend with a cart.
Yeah, I think Todd, we've heard that story. Like, there's a ton of stories, and that's the thing. We had always talked, like, we wanted to get Mike on here to talk, and just because all of his stories,
all Canadians go camping without a hammer is a question.
Yeah,
that one does.
Yeah, I now have 3.
Yeah, the only time I camp is at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Literally, that's the only place I've camped in the last 20 years.
But no, we'd heard that story, Todd, and we've heard so many other ones from Marcel. Like I said, we wanted to get him on the show to talk because, it would have been nice to get some of those stories chronicled.
Yeah. We'll say that is the one regret. We've been doing this podcast now for about a year and a half, and we've said for at least a year, we need to get Mike on for one of these to just tell stories. And we kept putting it off and trying to figure it out, how we would do it and stuff. Because I don't know how technologically savvy, is that a word, technologically? I don't know how technically savvy.
Well, I think we said that either Marshall or Corey would have had to have been there to help him out. But seeing Amy saying last time she was with Mike, he drove her out of the infield and about ran over multiple people. And it's funny. Well, we've had our 2 close calls with Mike because I think they're on the same year. There was a time that he was making a left to go back to the campsite, and Joey Logano, we all know how we feel about Joey Logano, gunned it out of the driver's lot.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that, thank God.
Oh no, you were in the back. You were back in the. You were right behind me. Yeah. Joey came about that close to.
I missed the whole thing.
To take him
a lot when riding on the back of the golf cart.
And then the other time was the Suarez hauler. We were going. It was after the All-Star race. We were going. All of a sudden, it's like, Mike, we got to go the other way. They got a hauler coming.
Brian Davis is also watching. Awesome. Hey, Brian.
And I guess the only other thing that, and I can say that my ass won't miss, is it seemed like every time Marcus and I were on the back of that golf cart, that turn 4 tunnel, Mike would just give her coming down there, and we'd hit the bottom of it, and then we'd bottom out because.
Well, I'm not going to say it might be based on your favorite cold snack that you and Marcus like that might contribute to that. And the vast quantity of consumption thereof over the course of the race weekend. I'm guilty of it too. I'm just saying. I don't know. Everyone's trying to fatten me up every year I go down there.
You're not heavy enough.
I know. I put on 10 pounds every time I go down there.
Well, yeah.
And it's not just in the cankles either. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it's and even and even to go back to when your dad was on that tour.
Oh yeah, yeah. So one year, Coke 600 weekend, we're down there. The usual craziness and family and all this. And then my dad was going on the Hot Rod Magazine Power Tour, which was starting at Charlotte and then going all over the place over the course of a couple of weeks. But that event was starting like 3 days after the 600. It was like on the Tuesday or Wednesday after the 600. And so it was literally, I got home and a few hours later, my dad was headed out the door back to where I just came from. And so I had happened to mention it to Mike and Marshall and stuff. I said, yeah, my dad's down here. I think they got a late model car, but I'm not sure how, reliable this stuff. And Mike, so here, make sure he has my phone number, blah, blah, blah. If they need anything, I got tools, I got a place to stay. I said, awesome. Okay, thanks, and that was around the time Mike was starting to restore his Mustang too. And then we were talking about, he's like, oh, I'd like to do that, but I wouldn't necessarily drive. And he's like, would you drive? And I'm like, of course I do. I'm like, road trip with Mike Kleban? Are you kidding? That's like the ultimate. Probably wouldn't get anywhere fast because we got to talk to everybody, but that's cool. I'll do it, And I remember, and after that, our first visit, he was always, come here, I got to show you what I got for the Mustang. And he had some parts laying. Doug's like, I don't know what I'm looking at. And I'm like, don't worry about it. I do. And that was in the other half of the garage, the actual garage portion of the man cave before he put up the new shed. And he had all those license plates, and I brought down a vintage Ontario license plate to be added there on the wall. So, yeah, there's a little piece of us down there at all times.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope we've kind of given our stories of them. I know, and I even know I had another cousin, just, I think it's the same story over and over again, but I had another cousin who flew down from Alberta, and
Yep.
they were military out west, and he was like, yeah, bring them into the campsite, and they were just one of the group. He was, they were only there for a couple hours, but
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because you're like, Mike, do you mind if my family? And he's like, why are you even asking? Like, of course, yes, open arms. Yeah, that's true. So all those nights of the man cave, awesome, and then introducing us to all these amazing people that we're hanging out with tonight, and always so much fun, and I'm just thinking, we all know, at some point during race weekend, you get to start watching canopies going off like bottle rockets. And, I can think of hanging onto a corner of the mess tent and it starting to lift. And then all of a sudden Reba showed up and he's like, no, it's okay. I know you're built like Sam. And Sam, I don't know, they just tuck him inside, or they tied a boulder to his ankle or something so he didn't blow away. I'm not sure. They just hit him. When that warning on the big screen goes up, the first person to take shelter is Sam Vaca.
Yeah.
Because he'll just blow away. I love Sam. Makes me look tough.
And Lewis, thanks for sending me here, because I know I've seen I think almost every person has put this here picture up, because it's the two main guys that we've become part of the family, and that is
Yeah. Here.
Mike and Marshall. There is just the
Yep.
It's
Marissa and Elizabeth hide in the RV. Sure. Amy's lost 4 tents to the Charlotte infield and replaced one TV. Those took that photo.
Yeah, it's
and really,
I
know I shared it. Yeah,
I know. Again, Lewis is another guy. Like 20, I think it was 2019 down there. He was just Lewis is, because you were doing it. He was wandering aimlessly alone. He was down there alone by himself, and he, all of a sudden, he was in with TJ, who we also know, and
well, I was going to say, as I usually have to do with you, Doug, have I met Lewis?
No.
Okay.
No. Not yet. But
okay, snuck you into the tractor in COVID 600 to do the video. Nice.
Yeah.
We've only lost one canopy, which technically we haven't lost shit anymore. That doesn't work anymore. But that canopy lasted 18 minutes.
Yeah, we've lost a canopy and a awning for a tent trailer.
Yeah. That was on the pop-up trailer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was destroyed pretty quick.
That was.
We almost fixed it till it broke.
But
yeah. Gotta love those wins. I'm just trying to think. Is there anything I don't want to get off here and go, I should have mentioned,
I think there's going to be something. I know we'll probably keep talking about it, or at least him for many shows to come, because it's just.
Yep.
I think all of our shows. I don't think we've had a show where we haven't mentioned something to do with Mike, which is.
Yes. Remember, you ever missed a race, Mike? Yeah, we all know when Corey's birthday is.
Yeah. Yep. Which I think it was the last 600. I actually called in to Dave
and the follow-up to that, yes, our canopy somehow went straight up in the air, cleared Doug's vehicle, cleared the roadway, and landed right in front of Grant's trailer. Yep. He saw the whole thing happen.
I think Grant thought he was in a remake of The Wizard of Oz that night, I think. But yeah, like I said, I
don't know if you caught it earlier, but you're in most of our thumbnails for the beginning of these shows. There's a photo of Doug and me talking, and you're standing right next to Doug.
I called into to Dave Moody to talk about Mike with the last, not during the last 600, because it was just with all the stuff that he's done. Because people were talking about, they've been to 4 600s, they've been to 10 600s. I'm like, well, you ain't been to as many as Mike has.
My dad dropped my newborn self off with my mom at home the Sunday morning of the race and went to the track. Has some quick ears to Corey's story.
Which, that's just the lure to Mike. It's just, it's just the story. It's a guy that will be very, very missed, because I was actually even at a cornhole show not this Saturday, the Saturday before, and talking to a guy. He says to me, well, you go to the race in Charlotte, you know where the Sam Bass gallery was? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, I live right there. And I was like, well, okay, I'm there all the time. And I was like, well, I kind of just described what the way all Mike's setup is. And he's like, well, yeah, I know that setup well. So he lives right by Mike's place there, but which
is a beautiful little community. I always thought.
Yeah.
I was like, every time we would go, I was like, oh, I'd so love to live in this neighborhood with the track. Maybe find a job doing something. I don't know. I could. Well, Mike, I work from home anyways. Jesus.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that he would care about catching hell from anyone for going to the track.
Yeah.
Just,
that's true.
Again, that's just the part of all the stuff that we loved about him. He was just, he was just going to do what he was going to do.
Yeah. I remember him reaching out to me one year. You're coming down, right? Yeah. What kind of beer you all drink? I'm like, Labatt's Blue. I get a message the next day. Nobody drinks that crap around here. You can't buy it. Don't worry about it.
So then we started bringing our own down from here.
Yeah, and then you give us trouble for not drinking his beer.
Well, we just do it
with the veterans. He's like, it's for all of us.
It was blue. The cans are blue, so we just toss them in, and little torpedoes in there that someone would just grab.
Yeah, operating depth charge. You think you're grabbing a Bud Light when you're getting a Labatt's Blue.
Exactly, yeah.
It was great. I think we got a couple of people that are in the chat here. A couple of people have fallen prey to that one. Like, dang Canadians, because take a sip. The hell? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Yeah, I was going to say something there too. I forgot it, so I'm going to probably say another show, but it's just I don't know. He made it all fun. He didn't as long as he made everyone welcome, made it fun, and that's why I wanted to keep coming back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As much as like that drive all the way down, towing a trailer sucks. It really sucks. It's worth it. Once we get there, I'm like, oh, yes. And the feeling of when, like, and I'm sure a lot of you feel is like you go through that tunnel, or if you're lucky enough to cross track, as soon as you cross that surface, that threshold, you're like, I'm home.
Yeah, it got to be where I didn't go for the race anymore.
No, it's funny. I paid less and less attention to the race each year. Like, and the funny part is, like, for the first few years, we had tickets up in the grandstands for the 600.
No,
and then it got to the point where one year I wasn't feeling so. I'm like, why are we even paying for these? Because this is costing as much as because they charge a lot to sit up there. And we're like, this is a huge budget we can eliminate. And besides, I want to be down there hanging out with the family and stuff. And I'd split up the 600. I watch part of the 600 with TJ and his crew, and I'd watch part of it usually with Marshall when he was down on ground level. I never got up on the trailer with y'all crazy people. That's heights, and it's best I don't do that, especially after a certain point in the day. So, and then we just I just have the scanner on, sitting in the lawn chair watching the big screen. Cars were all whipping around. I'm still watching on TV. That would be awesome. Watching the 600 from the man cave. Woo. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I would do a live watch party of the 600, except you can't broadcast the 600 while watching it. We could just watch, you watch us watching the 600, essentially. But I do believe the 600 may or may not follow my birthday this year, which means I am previously indisposed.
Okay, I'm seeing this. I wasn't there for.
What are you thinking?
I wasn't there for the Roval. I haven't been there for any of the Rovals, but I'm getting a message here. Do y'all remember the first Roval when Mike drove the golf cart on the track Saturday night and the security saw it and said, "Oh, don't worry, it's just Kleban. Don't worry about it. It's just Kleban."
Yeah. No, Marshall, but I remember because we always kept an eye on your trailer during the week. Because you'd park it right up on the top of the hill there after the All-Star race, and then you're like, "Hey, can you keep an eye on it?" I'm like, "Sure." And I think it was the year there was 4 of us in the infield. They had already done the Roval, the paving, so we had a lot of laps on portions of the Roval during that week with only 4 people in the infield. And I went over and checked on your trailer, and I realized I didn't wear my glasses, so I assume it was okay.
But when we're talking about that with him driving on the track, there was that night after the All-Star race when we almost got hit by the Suarez hauler. We were driving, and all of a sudden Mike makes a turn, and we're like, "Oh, we're on the track." It was after the All-Star race just finished, and there's security there, and we're like, "Oh, Mike, there's security there. We're on the track." He's like, "Doesn't matter." And then he just drove a bit on the track. Security just kind of gave him a wave. I'm not sure just what, but it's just
Yeah, we have one photo of me up on that top of Marshall's trailer, and that was 2011. It might have been, no, I've been up there since then, but not often.
We're not. We showed that picture last night, and we're not. I have to wait a year to see that again. My eyes have not adjusted because if any of you remember, even when Ben's not wearing a shirt, he's still wearing a shirt.
I thought I was still wearing a sweater vest.
That too.
Yep. Oh man, that cooking, that was awesome. I think the last year I was down there was the year that Marshall had to leave, and so he's like, "Go." He's like, "Who's going to help cook?" I'm like, "I am not going to mention I grew up in a restaurant." And then I leaned over to Trent. I said, "I can help you out." He's like, "You good for cooking for large quantities of people?" I'm like, "Yeah. I spent about 5 years working as a cook in my parents' restaurant. Let's do it." That was fun. I got to make the chili that year. Nobody was gassier than usual. Blame Trent.
Exactly. It's like Todd said, no matter you like the racing or not, you were there for you got the full experience.
Oh yeah, like
if you're there with Mike.
We took one of my best friends, Rich Shanahan, down one year. That's the Vatican Assassin sticker in the stalls, in case you're wondering. We took him down in 2013, I think it was. That sticker's still there. And he's not a NASCAR fan, not really a race fan, a little bit of Formula One fan. We don't hold it against him. And he still talks about his experience that weekend and all the great times he had and the great food and the great people and stuff. And like, it comes up in his Facebook memories, and he'll be at work and he's got friends that are NASCAR fans. They're like, "Hey, you've been down there?" He's like, yeah, it was really cool, and saw race shops and all kinds of cool stuff. Yes, 2 Porta Johns.
Yeah.
No, I made it to their recipe, Terry. We use Carol Shelby chili mix. That stuff's awesome. And that was the other thing. Somehow, the year Richie went down, somebody slipped an extra batch of Carol Shelby chili mix to Richie so we could have the same chili back here because Rich liked it so much. I think it was Trent may have given him a box of it, or maybe Marshall.
I don't think we need to talk about chili and Rich being in Charlotte. No. That's a story away from the track, but we're just not going to talk about him and chili.
Yeah.
Very disappointing.
There you are. All right.
But,
well, I don't know. Do we have anything else?
I
hope we did Mr. Mike justice, brother Mike.
I could probably think of other stuff probably once we're off, but he's just a guy that's just like I think Amy said it earlier. It's just I don't think we know the exact amount that he's going to be missed yet, and I think it's still going to be a long time before we really feel it.
Yeah,
and it's just.
Yeah, I think, and the best thing we can do is keep on keeping on. Keep the tradition going. Good, Marshall.
Exactly like I see, Marshall. I know. I missed the last one for Larry, and I've said to a couple of people that I don't care about no border crap. I will be down there for it this year. I will not be missing that at all.
Yeah. Doug will definitely be. Chances are I will not because. I'm pretty much tied to home right now. I'm primary caregiver for my dad, for those who don't know. So, and he's not doing the best. So I'm staying close to home for that. But God, the last couple of years, I wish I was down there.
Well, the 600 weekend was always your birthday weekend. And I know we had that one picture that we took for you for your birthday when you weren't there. And we're all going to
which I've noticed made into the circular. A lot of you folks have shared that photo. I was playing a gig that night, and I just finished sound check, and Doug's like, "Some people want to say happy birthday," and that's that group photo of all y'all giving me the finger.
Well, yeah, we were just going to do a group. We were just going to do a group photo, and all of a sudden, Mike's like flipping the bird, and that's everyone then became that.
Yep. And it's in. I don't mind, it's like, that was the year you ribbed me about not making it down that year, but you don't rib me about not making it down other years because of family commitments, which I appreciate. You can blame me for that one year because she ain't in the picture anymore.
Although we see some
of you more than made up for it the next 2 years.
Some of you had pictures of that thing and some of your stuff, but yeah.
I'm not saying Rob shared it. Thanks, Grant. I appreciate it. But I does say a lot of people looked at Mike as a bit of a father figure. In a sense, he was, but he was kind of an older brother. But he was such a kid at heart too. It's just That's why I was like, brother Mike. It's just we had so many conversations over the years. Doug knows. Doug knows he was sitting at that table too. Some nights Marshall was there. Some nights Sam would pop by. Yeah, because Sam drove 2 hours just to take us over to Mike's the one night.
Yeah.
I was like, y'all are crazy, but I love you for it.
Yeah.
What else can you say about the man? He touched all of us in many ways. And like I say, Doug, I don't think we're going to see, that man gave to his community and other communities. He's done so much for people over the years that.
And you know what? I'm thinking of this here now. I know Marshall's already given me the info, and I think we should probably put it down below if you're watching and you want to rewatch again. And I'm not sure if you guys are still if Kleb's kids are still going to go on for now, but I've got the info where if you want to donate to that to help out that cause, and I think at least put it. It's the link for the church for donating, but to donate in Mike's name, because it's just that's all we heard. Like, that was, don't want to say that was our reason to drink, but that was our reason to drink down there, because all that recycling money was going to help the kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know, and like running the pools, I was lucky enough to win a few pools, and always made a point of putting some of that towards Kleban's kids.
Yeah.
It's the least I can do. Yeah. I can only imagine, Marcus. I can only imagine. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking, when he wasn't in jail, every time there'd be a photo of me playing guitar. When's your niece going to teach you how to play that thing? Love him.
Yep.
Well, I think we should probably end it on that, Doug.
So yeah, it's
hell of a man. So I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight for this. If you want to support us, give us a subscription. We do a NASCAR podcast every other week in the off season, but every week, sometimes at night, sometimes during the day. It all depends on that guy's schedule. Because again, I work from home, so that works.
So some of us have a real job, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Which I think next week will be a lunch bag show.
Yeah, lunchtime next week. We're going to be doing I guess, coverage of the Busch Clash. More than welcome, Marshall. More than welcome. I miss you guys so much, and I think of you guys often. All of you.
And so. I think for this one here, no matter who you like, you got to think it's going to be. Can we say anything other than a Hendrick guy will win the Clash? You got to say it.
I guess. I'll leave him pull for the 24 this weekend, I guess. If he's running. I guess. That would be a first.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm going to end it with that. Well,
there's still you can end it with that. I'll end it my way. You can do that there.
If I can get it out. Oh. Yeah. So, all right, how do I do that again? Let's share the screen.
You want me just to do it? Okay.
You go ahead.
As everyone knows, and Justin, thank you for this year, because it just brought back another thing. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you do, my name is Mike, and for that, people usually know how I do end the show, but we won't be doing that this week because he's already in here, and other than that, there is just see you, Mike, and rest easy, buddy.
Love you.